Let's kick things off with a major story in the MMA world. Dricus du Plessis has broken his silence ahead of his highly anticipated middleweight title defense this time, against none other than the dangerous Khamzat. In a bold and confident statement, du Plessis made his mindset crystal clear. "I'm not here to win a wrestling match or a grappling match. We're not fighting for a wrestling title or a grappling belt. We're fighting for the UFC title. And in that arena, I am the best." His message wasn't just talk, it was a reflection of the mentality that's carried him to the top. Du Plessis humbly admitted, "I'm not the best wrestler. I'm not the best striker. But when you combine all of those skills and that is the sport we do, I am the best in the world." That's the mindset of a true mixed martial artist. Someone who doesn't dominate just one discipline, but thrives in the fusion of them all. According to du Plessis, that's where he separates himself not just from Khamzat but from everyone in the division. When asked by reporters whether he feels any added pressure heading into this fight, his answer was brutally honest. "Yes, I think for me, pressure is a big part of the game. If you don't feel any pressure, then you don't care enough." He went on to explain that fighters who step into the octagon without pressure are not truly invested. For him, the pressure comes from the expectations he places on himself. "Going out there and defending my belt, coming home without it is not an option." That's not just the mindset of a fighter, that's the mentality of a champion. Du Plessis doesn't just want to win, he expects to win. He needs to win. The champ is ready. He knows what's coming. He respects Chimaevi's skill set, but he believes he's built for this moment, because this is MMA, and in MMA, Dricus du Plessis believes he is the best. "We're constantly working to improve our content to earn your support and trust." If you enjoyed this update, please take a moment to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest MMA news. The hidden side of MMA, Bilal Muhammad opens up about the pain of defeat in a rare moment of vulnerability. UFC fighter Bilal Muhammad recently shared what it truly feels like to lose in professional MMA perspective. Most fans never see. From the outside, fans often focus solely on the outcome, a win or a loss, a highlight reel knockout, or a hard-fought decision. But Bilal emphasized that what truly matters lies beneath the surface, what a loss means emotionally, mentally, and physically. To a fighter, he explained that every fight begins long before the cage door closes. Fighters endure intense, often brutal, 8 to 10-week training camps. Every moment of that camp revolves around a singular mission: winning. The nutrition is dialed in, the strategy is planned, and life outside the gym is put on hold. Every meal, every run, every sparring session is dedicated to preparing for that one night under the lights. But in this sport, nothing is guaranteed. Bilal spoke candidly about the aftermath of a loss. "So many trolls laugh. They talk trash and say whatever they want," he said, "but they don't understand what it really feels like to lose. You go through the grind, the pain, the sacrifice, and then you come up short. After a loss, people often offer kind words. 'Sorry, you lost. Keep your head up, you'll get the next one.' And then, within days, it's forgotten, at least by the fans. But not by the fighter. You're still living with it," he said. "You're still thinking about it. It's still eating at you, even myself, I'm still thinking about it. That kind of pain doesn't disappear. It stays with you. It drives you. There's no time to sulk or dwell. The grind starts again immediately. You lost," he said, "and now you have to prepare again, just as hard, maybe even harder. There's no room for excuses. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you're tired. You come to the gym. I don't care if you don't feel like training. You show up, because on fight night, there's no pause button. You don't get to say, 'I don't feel good.' You step into that cage anyway. You lock that door. You throw hands. That's the truth of fighting, training your body and your mind to show up regardless of circumstance. You have to train to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations," Bilal said. "You have to push even when there's nothing left in the tank. You don't want to run that extra mile, but you do, because you never want to feel that sting again. That sting, the pain of losing, the weight of letting down your coaches, your team, your fans, becomes fuel. It's what drives fighters forward when no one's watching." In the end, Bilal Muhammad reminded us of the hidden side of MMA. Beyond the cameras, beyond the lights, is a world where warriors rebuild themselves in silence, driven by heartbreak, determined to rise again. Matt Brown speaks on Conor McGregor's identity crisis. Post-defeats of veteran Matt Brown recently shared his honest perspective on Conor McGregor's current state, suggesting that McGregor's identity as a fighter was deeply impacted, if not completely dismantled, by his losses, particularly against Dustin Poirier. Brown began by pointing out that the public doesn't truly know McGregor as a person. "We don't know what's actually going on in his life. If you're judging him based only on what you see on social media, which is just a highlight reel, let's be honest then, yeah, I'd seriously question his mental health." He then dove deeper into something that resonates with many fighters: the entanglement of personal identity with professional career. Every fighter knows it, whether they admit it or not. This sport becomes your life. your entire sense of self starts to revolve around being a fighter. While sports psychologists often remind athletes that they are more than just competitors, that they remain whole people beyond their careers, Brown admitted, "You can't help it. The fight game swallows your identity." He emphasized that when a fighter finally steps away from the cage, whether due to injury, retirement, or a string of losses, the realization hits hard. That wasn't just a job. That was who you were, all of who you were. Brown believes this is where McGregor is currently struggling. He explained that the dominant, confident, alpha version of McGregor was shattered. While Khabib Nurmagomedov may have initiated that downfall, it was Dustin Poirier, according to Brown, who finalized it. Dustin didn't just beat Conor, he took his soul. He added that McGregor is likely sitting in his mansion, surrounded by wealth and luxury, asking himself, now what? Despite the fame, cars, jets, and yachts, Brown said, without purpose, it all feels empty. Brown also highlighted a common sentiment among the ultra-wealthy, that once you've achieved financial success, your biggest challenge becomes rediscovering meaning. Finding purpose gets harder, especially when your entire life has been about chasing one thing, being the best fighter on the planet. This is why, Brown stressed, it's critical to have genuine people around you, real friends, family, and those who keep you grounded when the spotlight fades. In his view, McGregor's journey isn't about fighting anymore. It's about rediscovering who he is without the fame, without the octagon, and without the glory. As Ray Longo put it after hearing Brown's comments, wow, that can't be a big line. But for many, it's a brutally honest truth. He clearly didn't expect such a significant gap in the odds. But when you take a step back and really analyze what Khamzat did to Robert Whittaker, the picture becomes much clearer. Let's not forget, Khamzat absolutely steamrolled one of the most experienced middleweights in the world. Whittaker didn't look like himself at all. In fact, Khamzat made Whittaker, a former champion, look like a complete rookie inside the octagon. It was shocking, dominant, and, quite frankly, a little scary. That kind of performance doesn't just get fans talking. It sends a message to the entire division, including the oddsmakers. Think about it. Dricus du Plessis is the current champion. He earned that title by grinding out a tough, gritty win against Sean Strickland. He's undefeated in the UFC, known for his unorthodox, yet effective style, relentless pressure, and explosive power. And yet, despite all of that, he's still the underdog going into this fight. Ray Longo made a great point. Betting lines aren't solely based on skill. They're based on public perception. Khamzat's performance against Whittaker was so dominant, so one-sided, that it shifted the entire narrative. It made fans and bettors forget just how good du Plessis truly is. This is the kind of matchup that will test both fighters at the highest level. It's Khamzat's suffocating pressure and world-class wrestling versus du Plessis' unpredictable movement, superior cardio, and striking power. Neither man has an easy path to victory here, but the fact that du Plessis, the reigning champion, is such a massive underdog, that's rare in a title fight. Ray Longo's genuine reaction of surprise mirrors how many hardcore fans are feeling. It's one thing for Khamzat to be the favorite, but to be a -200 or even -250 favorite, that's a bold statement from the betting world. It reflects a deeper truth in MMA belts. Accolades and records are important, but perception still carries immense weight. And if du Plessis manages to pull this off, he won't just be defending his title, he'll be destroying the narrative, proving the oddsmakers wrong, and silencing a whole lot of doubters. Khabib Nurmagomedov just dropped a bombshell that's shaking up the MMA world. In a recent interview, the undefeated legend made a surprising revelation about his longtime friend and protege, Islam Makhachev. According to Khabib, Islam may retire within the next year and a half. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most dominant fighters on the planet could step away from the sport in just 18 months. If that timeline holds, we may only see Islam fight 3, maybe 4 more times before he hangs up his gloves. That completely changes the narrative. From here on out, every fight becomes critical. It's no longer just about title defenses or rankings. It's about legacy. And with that in mind, one potential super fight has everyone talking. Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Let's break this down. Ilia Topuria is a force. Undefeated and dangerous, he recently knocked out Charles Oliveira in brutal fashion to capture the UFC lightweight title. He's bold, confident, and quickly becoming a global superstar, gaining massive followings across Europe and Latin America. He's not just a contender, he's a threat. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev has been on an unstoppable run. He dominated Charles Oliveira, beat Alexander Volkanovski twice, and has looked nearly untouchable in the lightweight division. But with retirement potentially on the horizon, Islam can't afford to play it safe. He needs fights that will cement his place in MMA history. And right now, Ilia Topuria is that fight. Even UFC veteran Paul Felder mentioned it on the Bisping podcast. If Islam is truly nearing retirement, then the traditional title defense roadmap doesn't matter anymore. This is about greatness. This is about legacy. It's about going out on top. The stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking about pound-for-pound supremacy. Ilya has even overtaken Islam in the UFC's official pound-for-pound rankings. That's not something a Dagestani fighter, molded in a culture of pride, discipline, and domination, takes lightly. For them, it's not just about winning. It's about being the absolute best. And Ilya, he's turning up the heat. He's taunting Islam on social media, throwing subtle jabs, and calling himself the true king at 155. After what he did to Charles Oliveira, the hype is real. Ilya has proved he can stand with the elite. He's no longer just a prospect, he's a problem. With Islam's clock ticking, this super fight makes perfect sense. It's high drama, it's high stakes, and it might just be the greatest lightweight showdown of this generation. It's a possible passing of the torch moment, or a chance for Islam Makhachev to shut down the hype and walk away as the undisputed best to ever do it. Dustin Poirier continues to prove that he's not just a warrior in the octagon, but a true hero outside of it as well. In his hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, Dustin recently hosted his annual Back to School charity drive-in this year. It was bigger than ever. Over 1,200 backpacks were handed out to children, helping families prepare for the upcoming school year with a little less stress. Think about that. More than 1,000 kids now have the supplies and support they need, thanks to one man's generosity. This marks the 5th consecutive year of Dustin's charity initiative. Each year, it grows not just in size, but in heart. Footage from the event captured long lines of children and parents, but there were no complaints or smiles. Volunteers were laughing, families were connecting, and the entire atmosphere felt more like a joyful celebration than a traditional charity event. It was a true display of community spirit, united not just by the need for school supplies, but by the shared respect and admiration for someone who never forgot his roots. Dustin Poirier didn't have to do this. He's not campaigning for political office, and he's certainly not doing it for media attention. He's doing it because he genuinely cares, because he remembers where he came from, and because he knows that being a fighter is about more than just knockouts and championship belts. It's about standing up for your community. In the world of MMA, we often celebrate fighters for their physical grit, their triumphs, and their moments inside the cage. But this is just as powerful. From handing out meals during the pandemic to auctioning off fight gear for families in need, Dustin Poirier continues to show us that the real fight doesn't end when the cage door closes. At a time when the spotlight often shines on trash, talk, and controversy, moments like these cut through the noise. They remind us that kindness, humility, and service still exist in the sport. So hats off to Dustin Poirier, not just for being a beast in the cage, but for being a true champion. In life,